I'm going to call the meeting to order. Today's meeting is April 15th, 2026, the ARB for Berlin Township, and the time is 6:30. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Kristen?
Here.
Quinn?
Here.
Anita? Here. And do I acknowledge that these two are here?
Sure.
Okay, we also, Philip, the zoning department.
Yep.
And Don Sutton.
Yep.
With the zoning commission. Okay, we're going to verify the meeting was advertised.
Yes.
All right, we need to approve the ARB meetings from March 18th. It was basically about our new person who has joined us, Anita, and finding out that we don't really have any code changes yet to 15 and 19 yet. So,
Make a
I
motion
call
to
motion.
accept.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Then it has passed. Okay. Okay, can we take a vote? Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, so we need to sign the minutes from both March 18th and for November 19th. So I'm going to pass this down to everybody. You can sign those. You won't be signing them, unfortunately, here.
Sorry, my name's falling. It's gonna.
Okay, so that's all done. Thank you. And so what we want to do, we have Don here today, so he's going to sit here hopefully and answer any questions you may have. Our main goal today is to talk about the checklist because they have not been touched in a long time. And I had updated them with comments or clarifications and stuff. So I want to go through those so we can like finalize, get those approved, and then we can have those copies and available when we get them. We have a application come through. So
We need to tell them what we did and why.
You guys graded it. If somebody wants
sure.
to fill them in, that would be great.
So we did our first meeting kind of all together. It was like a trial by fire, and we had a developer presenting, and we were kind of all switching back and what we needed to track for them. So we came together and created a really easy cheat sheet for them. So we asked, and at the time, Kathy, right?
I don't think it was hers. Was it Summer?
When they picked up, well, originally though, when they picked up all of the materials, right, to present, they actually gave them our checklist. So it was really easy. It was like, this is what we're checking. This is what we need to have. So once we would get that, we would all go through the checklist prior to the meeting, and then we would be really prepared for the developers who came in. And we would literally just go through the checklist. If any of us had issues, comments, questions, we would hit those questions with the developers. And then we would be done with all our recommendations for the zoning committee. So I'd love to, it worked really well for us. It made it very short and sweet, made it very organized for the developers to kind of go along. And then the secondary piece that we asked for, which I'm never really sure if it was approved or asked for, was like a design board to go along with their presentation of like different materials and the colors that they were going to use. So other than those like two little things, that's what we wanted. I don't know. That was our request.
I went through the application today and I did not see, it just says they need to include that, but not the sample board. They need to list the materials basically on their application, but, or on the drawings, but it doesn't say sample board. So that was one of the things with Dawn. So that was one of my questions. Dawn, I have some for you.
Yeah, so it's very clear because the checklist, if you want to see, can we give them an example? Can you borrow this?
I don't know what versions they are, but
These
yes.
are like old versions, but at least you can see like what context we're kind of putting it in. I think this is.
Okay. So that sample board was talked about. We believe that that's important because if they just say, yeah, we have blue, we don't know if it's the right blue, if it's purple blue, and that's maybe not acceptable. So we wanted something we can see, and so that's been out there for probably a couple of years now. And like, who do we need to have that discussion with? Hey, we want to add this. Is that Philip? Is it you? Is it the whole zoning? Like, who do we have that conversation with to say, when they put this in their application, we want a sample board, at least for the ARB. I think the other ones would want to see it as well, but I think that's important. And then also, if we have changes to the resolution due to an error or whatever, who also do we take that to? Like, there is one here that I found, I don't know who to tell. I can document the meeting minutes, but I don't know who to tell.
So that would be me.
Okay.
And so for the board itself, are you asking, would you like that to be part of the, like in the code as part of the application process as a requirement? That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason is, I don't want anything, I don't want them coming to the meeting and then we're telling them what they need and then they gotta come back, or we never get to see it because they take it over to the zoning. So to me, it's really important to get from them the first time everything they need. And that's what the application, that's why this checklist is important too, is with that application, it just says, here's the list of things you need to do. Well, the zoning resolution clearly states there's a lot more than just what's on the application they need to add. And even if you look at the updated checklist, I put a red line on there. This is not all inclusive of everything that's needed. You need to read the resolution to get it, because we did a pretty comprehensive checklist, but at the same time, we would be rewriting the resolution if we added everything. But it's just kind of the highlights, but there's variances to, if you want to do this, you can go to, the trustees or something. So we didn't add all that detail in there. But, we have to know that to be able to let them know if they want to or if they read it themselves. So
Phil, currently, the developer is coming into the BCC. They bring any type of display board like that?
Not physical, no. Like you said, it would describe the materials in the application, but an actual, or photos.
Do they show those in a packet?
It would be, so like if the most recent one was for a subdivision, they might have the new design plans for the new home stuff. And that includes information on siding, landscaping, and so on and so forth.
And that's not an ask that's out of line, because the 9 out of 10, if they're doing that, the architect, their design team has already put that board together so they can show the owners or whoever, so they understand, because they can't know it's a blue. They want to see it. So it's not like we're asking them to do anything that they don't already have. So
We're just asking them to bring it to the meeting so we can see it.
right.
Because sometimes when it's the one question we had one time, was one of the colors, they said, well, it's blue, and I'm like, this looks gray to me, or whomever it was, I don't remember specifically, but it didn't print right. Okay, if we had the board, then that's the colors, and we could be able to speak intelligently on them.
So noodle on that, and then the checklist really, because not all townships or the offices have architectural review. That's why we thought the checklist was really easy, because they were like, we have this pretty much pre-meeting with us, and that's what we've been given to review by the zoning commission.
So, and I guess because I haven't had a chance to use it, do you fill it out and we're all sitting here and then that's when you guys find out that you're a yes and you're a no, and then you explain no? Like, is that kind of what happens?
And so we get a whole, when the developers submit, they submit multiple packets.
Right.
So we have a huge, we have a huge binder. So we take the checklist in our own homes prior to the meeting, and we go through our checklist with the materials, and then we write notes. I mean, we had like very few notes. Some of them are straightforward, but it's like, well, this is not pushed back enough, or this is not here, or this. I told them one time the colors are really dated, because it was a really dated color palette. I mean, we just write notes down, right? Even if we say no on one of them, that goes to just the zoning commission. Saying, hey, we questioned them about this. We probably gave them a lot of information maybe they didn't care about, like the dated color palettes, or we didn't agree with this or that, but really it's just here's what we checked for you. You guys can whiz by all this because we already checked it. Here are the things that we had questions or comments about. They read that prior to the zoning meeting, and then they ask questions based on our feedback.
Right, you're sending recommendations to the BZC.
Yes.
You're not voting yes or no against.
We are voting yes or no.
Yeah.
We are voting yes or no. Either it meets the code or it doesn't. Either everything is checked yes or it doesn't. That doesn't mean it doesn't go to zoning commission. That applicant can say, I'm gonna change those no's and show that when I go into Board of Zoning Commission.
Yeah.
And then they can just move on. But we don't, typically they wouldn't come back here.
Yeah.
Unless they're just totally missing the boat and BZC says, no, go back to ARB before you come to us.
Now, the zoning, their checklist to see what they've missed, or they just.
We have added into their packet that goes back to the applicant. So I don't know if you have some of the previous files from the other projects, you might be able to look in there and see like how we comment. Not maybe the first one, where there are three, maybe the second two. And then you can see where we said yes or no, and then in the notes column, why.
Why? Yeah, but
Do you remember one of them that you heard in the last year or two?
The TNR properties
Yeah.
above.
Oh, TNR, okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know, did you have your checklist at that time?
Mhm.
It seemed,
I thought we did, yeah.
That was the last one. I wasn't here, unfortunately. So I only did.
But it's definitely the one that was at the corner
Yeah.
of Africa and 3637. That I think was the last one.
Oh yeah, that was.
So it was definitely in that packet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know if it was a paper, our handwritten notes, I don't know that if Kathy or anybody else in the office typed it up nicer.
Yeah,
But
Kathy did.
Did she?
She
Okay.
would type up all of our notes from the meeting, and then it was just probably dictated, but,
Okay.
and then send them through the zoning.
okay,
So
so.
we'd like to continue, right? We'd like to continue that practice. We know
Yes,
that valuable.
like I said, I haven't got to try it, but it makes sense, I think it's easier for us, and that's why I put the section on there, in case we did have to look at more detail, we could flip it and go to it without flipping pages.
Exactly, yeah.
I think I may get rid of the pages just because the page number changed, it seems the section number stayed pretty much the same. So that would be the goal, is to continue using it, yes.
What I would suggest for the display board is that Philip can reach out to our legal counsel that meets with BZC. And since it's not something required in BZC, can we have it added to our zoning code for ARB? Or it's changed?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of the board, is architectural design features, if we can't see them, that doesn't help us, so.
Check on that one.
Thank you.
And then using the checklist, do you think that's something that we can continue finalize? Do you have, like, we say that you will deliver that to the team here so they can put it in packets, and then do you want to give us the new ones? The newest ones?
Well, I haven't finalized the new one because some of them have questions on them. Why is this line item here? Why is this checklist here? Because it's on the landscaping checklist. So there's a lot of those type of comments in there.
Is this the one that you're talking about? So do you,
Yes,
is that what you wanted to do?
yes.
Is go through line by
Yes.
line and discuss?
Just make sure that, check my red lines and see if they're, you're okay with comments. So that, like I said, that's from 2 years ago, or when I started, and I did that, and I actually updated it, and I put it in blue, which I was just gonna read it to you while we were doing this. So I guess I need to know from you, do we need to sit here and go through this and finalize it, or do you just need to comment? But the thing is, it's a lot of writing for you guys to go and go, yeah, I'm fine, or hey, everything looks good, I want to change, I don't agree with this one and why.
Is this
what are your
Excel or
thoughts
is
on
it
this?
Word?
Hmm?
Is it Excel?
It's Excel.
Okay. You can't really comment and track changes.
Right, yeah, and I'm not really worried about tracking the changes, the goal is to just go through it because we haven't gone through it yet, and I just wanna finalize it, because if Don's, or Philip, we get these coming in, I don't want us rushing, I want us to get comfortable with what we've got now, what we finalized, so, the goal is to go through this today, and if we only get through one page, or not one page, but one section, that's what we get through. It's pretty much just yes, no type, are you okay with this, and we just move down the line. And there may be questions that Don or Philip have to answer because it's like something didn't make any sense to me. Like I said, there's a section on there that tells them to go look at 1507 for mixed use, and there's no 1507.
Do you just have one copy of that? Do you just have one copy of that?
I don't, it was all via email, so I don't have copies. They print them off, but I just have my own computer. I mean, I can send it to you, but you're not gonna have it like right now. So.
Is that what this one is?
That's an old word.
That's the old
Just to
one.
kind of
That's the old one. It wouldn't have any of the red line comments that I made to it. So, are you guys fine with that? We'll breeze through this quick. We'll see how long it takes to get through just the DCO, and if we can just move through it, we'll continue on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to be clear, the zoning code says that you're not voting on the application itself. You are making a recommendation on the application.
We're basically, they either meet the criteria or they don't. If they don't meet it, if they're supposed to have a building no taller than 45 feet, and their building is 55 feet, no, you did make it, and it's pretty much the end of the conversation for us. If you want to go fight that, I guess, with, have a conversation with zoning, you go have a conversation, but ours is, I would recommend changing it
Right, that's right.
to the right amount, but it's, for us, it's not to tell them, you either met it or you didn't meet it, and that's my understanding.
Yeah.
But to be clear, your vote doesn't stop the application. is
No,
what I'm trying to say.
exactly.
You are
No,
recommending
it's
to
just-
the zoning commission, well, to the trustees and the zoning commission that you are recommending, yes, this meets our standards, or no, it doesn't meet our standards.
Yeah, but it doesn't they don't have to go away and come back to us the second time.
Yeah.
They just go on.
They can choose to change their stuff if they want to. If they don't want to, then they're running that risk.
Then
But
they have to decide.
I think part of it is like the fact that we're bringing it to everyone else's attention. It's been pointed out. We told them to change it, not changing it for some whatever reason.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they can get a variance, or they may say it doesn't matter,
Mhm.
But for us, it's just, you made it or you didn't, you followed the code or you didn't, and then we passed the papers on.
Yeah, so for me, when an application is dropped off or somebody comes to me and asks about what you guys look for, what's your threshold, I guess, for approval or denial? Like if
We were told if one thing
If
does
one
not
thing
meet
is-
code, that it is a no.
really,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so if,
Then we say, no, it doesn't meet code, because it doesn't.
right,
They can change that one thing and take it to.
Yeah, because they may have 20 things they didn't do.
I
Then
mean,
we
we
have
did
2
go,
things.
I know we voted no, and I'm trying to recall, I think it was the size of a sidewalk, a trailer sidewalk or something. But it was just, it didn't meet code the way it was put, and so we vote no, it doesn't meet code.
And so we're checking the box and going, yes, no, for each line item, but at the end of that, we say, make a motion to vote.
And if there are any no's on our
Then we
checklist,
have
we
to
also
say
vote
no.
no.
Okay.
And the applicant, and the reason that we go through it here is like, we all fill this out at home. Maybe on page 5, I missed item building height. I couldn't find it, so I said, no, you don't meet code. And Quinn goes, oh no, it's right here. I see right here, and they meet it. And then we go, okay, so yes.
Or they, you know what we found too, is on different pages within their system, within their packet, had different like lengths or widths or whatever, so that we've caught that too. So I feel like our job is to go over the architectural parts, making sure it meets the standards. I would love if we could do more thorough, creating a community that looks similar, right? Of Worthington, or, you know, that we are holding them to some sort of standard. We don't see a lot of that part. It's just like the materials and the colors and things like that. It'd be great to have a little bit more flexibility there, but really we're just like are these developers serious? Are they doing what they need to do? We're covering some really technical stuff, the architectural stuff, landscaping for zoning.
Kim, can you email me your copy of this? The check.
Sorry.
Can you email me your copy of this, the checklist? No, it doesn't have to be right now.
Okay, yeah, I can do it. Well, hopefully we'll have to change and we'll update it. So why don't we go through this real quick, like I said, let's see how fast.
I do have a comment, if you don't mind.
Oh, sure.
So on the website, because I'm new, so I'm an information junkie, I'm looking for information. And I did find this, overlay Article 15 and 19 application workflow. And, it talks about the ARB, it says ARB serves in an advisory capacity, providing recommendations whether design standards are met. And then the flow goes to the zoning commission, and it says the zoning commission shall render a recommendation to approve or deny the application. So from what they described, it sounds like that's what's happening, happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you can have your list out, like I said, we're gonna go through this real quick, and you guys let me know if I've had too much information, not enough, and then we'll answer your questions. So, oh, you may look at mine. No, please. So the first thing is, all I did was add acres to there just for clarification, and I added an asterisk at the top of that, and the asterisk references down below to basically, you don't need to look at the whole Article 15, don't just use this checklist as your document.
Right.
The next thing is I added clarification about the drive aisle, where it's permitted, and it's between the building and the right of way,
I have
landscaping.
a comment on, the lot width. When I started going through comparing to actually what's in DCO. And, just for clarification purposes, I would say minimum lot width, instead of just a lot width when it comes to the type.
Well,
Because
those have
minimum track size, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see minimum track size.
Yeah, you're right.
So
I think
minimum
that's
lot
what
Yeah.
should be-
So
So
what
she wouldn't
am I
separate
changing?
them
So you're
out.
gonna put, minimum lot
Okay,
width.
That's just my suggestion.
No, not a problem.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's perfect.
all right. Anything with setbacks as far as the building between building and right of way? And then,
Under setbacks, in that first, box, I suggested you write right away in there, because, a copy I got had that box empty, where all of the other ones do have a type in there.
Yeah, the title.
what's
Oh,
between
yeah,
right
it's
of way?
above in the purple. I think it's supposed to just be below. Setbacks is up here. She needs to reference it there, but is it in the,
No, so this was a copy that I got, and in this box right here, there was nothing.
Right of way, that's weird.
So,
Okay.
good catch?
Added. All right, the next thing, it says mixed use graphic on page 1513. Well, I think 1513 is now different. So is there a mixed use graphic anywhere? It just says see draft graphic. I added on page 1513, but that's before where this got revised, and 1513, I don't believe it is accurate.
I didn't see that, but I also suggest using,
Mixed use building
mixed use
adjacent to
or-
a collector or.
well, on the first line, I suggest using, US 36 and State Route 37, and annotations, so just to make sure that it's.
Perfect.
And then I would suggest, adding landscape zone instead of just regular landscape. So just based off what's referenced.
Clarify it again.
Yeah, mixed use building adjacent.
Are you talking about that sentence with the right of way?
Yeah. So, these US.
I got that.
Okay, and then here, zone.
So,
Mhm.
Okay, so this is 1513.
But part of that section,
what page is that on now?
It's 15. Mixed use.
Okay. Maybe we don't do the page. What section is that?
1505A,
305, what, A?
3A,
A,
and
little a?
I is what I find.
A, little y? One I, okay, thank you.
What was a double
Double
I?
Y.
The first one was, so I suggest adding those two sections for each one, or adding a section that references it.
Hang on a second, can you have a look at your?
That's okay. As you can tell, I'm just extremely detailed.
That's 2 and 3, okay. Oh, I was adding,
You have this one, but these down, yeah. These
I must have
go in the
done
next
it.
section.
Okay. Graphic on, graphic on 3. Oh,
But I didn't see. That's not a page there, that's for, oh, okay.
we can just add sections back in.
Because you guys have.
What are you talking about?
That's
You
it.
referring to these, right?
Right.
On page 1520. Are these the graphics you're referring to?
No, I think it's this one,
No,
mixed
it's
use
all
building.
right there. Okay. On minimum side and rear setbacks, it was the sum of the height plus the depth. They used to say times, and you should, it being, I'm just gonna leave it that way because it's correct, so. Then down below that, I added 550 feet if NU with rooftop use will be used, 45 feet. 550 feet, addition to the residence. And what the 45 is that feet?
Oh, you kept going, okay, can we back up to
Sure.
minimum side and rear?
Sure.
So, since the section is already titled setbacks,
Mhm.
I would, delete the word setbacks and add the, word yards, rear yards.
You guys okay with that?
And then the second line, it says or 250 feet from existing residential, I would say, 250 feet minimum from existing residential. Some of these things might be implied, but, I know what I found is that, sometimes people get really technical and try to use like a little loophole, oh, you didn't say that.
Yeah.
So I just, when I was going through it, I just did what I used to always do it, make sure I was trying to capture everything. And then in your notes, you said setback is noted to be, sum of the height and depth. And I would add the setback is noted to be 1/3, and then in parentheses 1/3. So,
On that right there.
the one I had.
Well, this goes away,
Okay.
this is gonna get, that was just a note, that's just a comment, so these guys, for the
Okay.
1/3 to sum up plus.
Okay.
So that was just a note, and I
Okay,
let
so
them know I changed it,
comment
yeah.
on the
That'll
next
get to you, so I'll delete that right now. Okay, next is,
Just going, sorry to interrupt, just going back to the side yard setbacks, it says the code says this side and rear yard setback shall equal 1/3 the sum of the height and depth of the structure.
Mhm.
And the checklist says 1/3 the height times the depth of the structure.
That's what got changed. I changed that, that's what's red line on you, old one, right?
Okay, so this
Yeah, that's one of the things that got changed. I
Okay.
added a plus sign in some and made a note, so that's why I changed it.
okay. Just checking.
Good call.
But are you saying, are they calling it minimum side and rear setback? Is that what it says in there?
It says the minimum side and rear yard setback shall equal
Well,
1.
should we leave that rear setback then? Instead of yard, because they don't reference that.
Say yard.
It does.
That's what
Does it?
says.
Okay.
The
as long as it
minimum
does,
side and
okay.
rear yard setback shall equal 1/3.
All right, so I can only assume the note, the next red line on the building height adjacent to residential, that's 550 feet if the mixed use is used and the building height is 25 feet tall. So that's a building story, so let's do 45-foot height.
I do have a comment there.
Okay,
So on the first one, it says 250 feet to 350 feet. The code actually says greater than 250 feet. So it's not. Here, it says 250 feet to 350 feet. The code says greater than 250 feet, so that's not accurate. So when you say 250 feet to, it's greater than, so it should be 250 feet plus two, so 250 feet is not accurate there. It's actually, it should say greater than 250 feet.
but I have to have a stopping point, so if we start at 250 up to 350, I don't understand why you have greater than 250, because you can't have a building closer than 250 in a residential area.
If you look at the code, let's go.
Yeah, you got it. It's on 15A.
That's right. That's right. 1505.
A, I, A, I, double I, yeah, double I, triple I,
Okay.
triple I.
More than 250 feet, but less than 350 feet. So that's how that's working. So that's my comment.
So but that would then be 250 feet, 1 inch or something, right? Because, but the building height adjacent to residential has to be less than 250, or so it has to be 299,999, or 249,999, whatever. So the next one would be 250 to 350. I can put between. What do you guys think? Because we're saying less than 250 is not permitted. 250 to 350. So we have to capture 250 in there at some point, because it's less than 250 means it's 249 and change.
Yeah, so
So it's 250,
350 to 350
that's the
should,
new one.
yeah, that should be correct.
And you can always, just use the verbiage as it's shown here in cases like that where it's kind of like hard to
Well,
abbreviate it. I know everything on this form wants to be, the goal is to abbreviate, make it.
well, and that's the
check.
thing, the code is, and that's why this, inside at the bottom of this page, it says it's per that. So but again, I hope there's no confusion about that, because I don't know how, I don't know how we could clarify it more, how he would want to argue that, and I don't think we could argue about that.
I'm just commenting.
No, you're fine.
It's shown like that in the code, and in my years, in the field, we have to be very technical, but like I say, I'm new on the board, so.
No, you're fine.
Just tell me what you,
I'm
like I
kind
can
of
go along with.
one of the notes I have on here, the MU information currently under 15, this is for kind of you, Philip, maybe. The mixed use information currently under 1503E2. That's where it is. I would recommend moving it to 1505A, 5A, Roman numeral 4, and let me see. I didn't understand why it was under 15E2. Let me tell you what that is, 1503. is permitted uses, and there's a paragraph that we have on use codes. And there's just, and basically, B is Tim talked about temporary structures, C talked about commercial residential, within the area legal R4 or 10. It's talked about it's permitted. Again, I'm not sure why that's kind of there. Non-residential uses, and then mixed-use building. They talk about mixed-use buildings as defined in 1507. There is no 1507.
So, in terms of code changes, I would hold off on any recommendations for that until we have legal counsel here present to be able to answer what we actually can and can't change. So,
Okay, is that something like we have to have him here, or is that something we take to you? I mean, there's no 1507, there's no 1507.
yeah, but what I'm saying is that we should dedicate time to focus on code changes separately when we have legal counsel. That's what we're doing with the zoning commission right now. Because it would be easier to just do that all together.
Is it something we can submit to zoning? And say, hey, we found this discrepancy for you guys to review and.
Well, any code changes would have to be approved by the trustees, so it's just as easy as.
I just thought you said that they were meeting with legal for code changes. If we could just, if we recommend the developer stuff, we could just say like, hey, we recommend that this doesn't exist, that you take it out of our documents.
I have a meeting tomorrow with legal counsel. I can ask her what her thoughts are.
Question on the building height adjacent to section 1503 E2. And I haven't been able to find that.
What would we be looking for?
Building height,
Yeah.
building height adjacent residential. Now this section 1503 E2. I haven't been able to find E. It says mixed use buildings.
1503, it says 2. E2. E, there's an E2.
And it's under this section as well, building height. So I couldn't find that.
What is that? Let's go to the, probably under mixed use, let me find that. Let me highlight that.
Where is that? So I write this like building trashes.
So page 15,
I got your ears here, and I was like, thanks.
and it's in the next section as well.
If the old code had the 1507, so we could see what it was actually supposed to be.
Anita, what did you do with your old code that had the X's for dates?
I have marked in it, so it's still in my binder.
Okay, and was there a 1507 in there?
There's, no.
Do you have 1507?
No.
Yeah.
But I have the new one,
No,
so I just.
no, that one doesn't have, because that's where I got the original.
Okay.
I just got the one dated today.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I didn't turn all this in, but I have issues with my email. And I actually didn't get to start looking at this until today.
I got 15, I don't have that.
So maybe you're right.
I got 15, well, it's in black, 1505A9C. So maybe that's where the other one is. Okay, that may be correct. Okay, are we ready to go
It's
to,
in blue, it's like right.
are we ready to go to building height then? Yeah, it's not there. It's not at 6.
Yeah,
What's
but
the-
We're gonna do building height. I added all other buildings, max 45 plus 2 feet for the architectural detail that was there for 10% of the building length, because there was a clarification that you can do it, but you only do it for 10% if you go 2 feet higher. And then MU, show dash line on development plans to show max allowed height. For some reason, they called that out, and so I wanted to add it because that might be something you would miss. So just a quick blurb in there.
What section is it?
15A, 1505A9C. It's not on.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Oh, that's the one you said was different. Okay. Is everybody okay with that?
1509 A, C.
Okay, we're going to rooftop mechanical units. All I did was add height in there. Some of the building height can't exceed 53, and then I put clustered in the center of the roof can't exceed 25% of the rooftop. Again, just clarification to me. That'd be a lot to look for, so at least it kind of put it for. And I guess, Philip, to you, our development plans that we review required to show rooftop mechanicals, and I think I looked it up. I put that in there all the time, but I think when I did the development plan, it didn't say like where they are on the roof. So that's just kind of FYI to give you because we're gonna want it, and they should do it per the article, but.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
it's the applicant's responsibility to answer to everything in the code, so if they don't, then that's.
Okay. Rooftop screening, there was no changes on the building size. I just added max, and then under one roof for an individual use. And then I added, it can't exceed it, and then but I added approval from township providing direct access to 3637 or frontal road parallel with 500 feet. Well, I just added the parallel part, so, I will add, was it, not state route, what did you say it was, US 36, state route. State route, there we go. Okay, and they had, so I had a question on this one. They had parking pavement max depth is 275, but I was just wondering why it was on this one and not in the paving. Why paving depth? Should be under parking and pavement section, but. But again, that would be moving it to a new section, right? So, and since that seems to be an issue, why don't we just leave that alone? I'm deleting it. All right, mixed use, I added mixed use, overall residential density, max 10 units. Let me put an S on it, 10 units per net developable area, max 500 units. So I have a question, and I guess this is for you, Philip. Who's going to be tracking that? I assume in the mixed use area, you're allowed to have 500 units in that area. Let's say we have one developer that puts in 100, and the next one puts in 75. And who's keeping track when you get to that? I assume that's not us, that's going to be you. If they bring it in and they're going to put in 550, it's going to push it over 50, that's on you guys to have to worry about. Okay, I'm good with that. I added, now this you won't have because I just added it today or the other day when I was doing this. So facing 3637, so we add, what is that, US 36, state route 37. Must appear to be in the front facade of the building. I added facade of the building, and then I added the word elevation to facing ravines of Alum Creek, and then no trash containers, patios, balconies, and I added facing ravines of Alum Creek. So that's all I added there. Do you have something?
Yeah, it says no trash receptacles between the elevation and the lot line. That's where I thought I talked about trash receptacles. And then the next sentence talked about no decks, patios, balconies shall face towards a parcel. So I don't know if just saying no trash containers, patios, or balconies actually is clear. See.
Any building located in the sewer in South Jersey, adjacent to ravine, shall no trash shall be placed between said elevation and flooding lot line with ravines, so that the furthermore, no decks, patios, etc. shall
seem like two
It kind of-
separate things.
Oh,
to me.
kind of like the same thing, let's see, no trash takes place between said elevation and the budding lot line. So
It
to
seems
me, it's,
like the deck-
it's almost like we got trash receptacles down here as well, right? But just so we don't have two separate sentences.
It just, to me, it seems like the deck, information, patios, and balconies, is only mentioned for which way they face towards the parcel, not where they're located in the parcel.
Elevation and budding lot line, so it's like anywhere, all right, let me just add that.
So,
Let me see.
I'm not sure how you
Where's that?
support that. But they seem like separate things since they,
Can you read? No, so I need to get rid of trash containers there, right? No deck, patio, balconies, I need to change that, so no decks, this is no decks. But before that, I need to add no trash receptacles, right? Trash receptacles.
so I think trash, to me, I mean, you guys can read it and let me know what you think, but it seems like the sentence talking about the trash receptacles is separate.
I just added to it because it sounded the same to me, but what do you guys think, you okay?
Like, you guys look at that section.
Yeah, I'm looking at this section now.
So I was just, when the
Okay.
comment just said no trash contains patio,
Okay.
balconies, it will confuse.
Yeah, that makes sense. the way that you
Okay.
have that.
Traditional, all I did was additions or accessory structures, same or same or similar, is that same or similar design and structure? I just added that to bring in the accessory buildings. For the building materials, I just added foundations to match building facade, and then reflective / colored glass prohibited. And then I also added, which you don't have, the vinyl aluminum for gutters, downspout, shutters only, so you can't be part of the building. Then I had a question, why are the columns included since it's a design element, no other elements are noted on the checklist? Let's see where the columns are sufficient width. Don't want to be deciding the width of the meeting. Okay, yeah, I thought that was an odd thing because what's the right width of a column? Wood columns of sufficient width as determined by ARB, finished board provided, and that was our added finished board that we want. But as far as these wood columns go, it's the only design feature that they put on here and that we would determine the width. So, like, visually, if they don't have, I mean, they could note what the width is, and I guess we could sit there and say it's not wide enough or it's too small, but again, I think that's subjective.
Yeah, that's pretty.
And we all could have 4 different opinions on whether it's the right width or not. So what do you guys think about that? Because that's in the code.
Oh, yeah, wood columns, sufficient width as determined by ARB.
Right, so we're gonna be sitting there having a conversation with the developer. But again, if I get it changed, it's gotta change and Phil's gotta get it taken or to get it changed.
And sufficient is not
Because
detailed.
that won't be something that's a yes or no, did it meet it?
I mean, is there like a traditional size of them that we could reference? They can come in
No,
all
'cause
shapes and
Well,
sizes.
yeah, well, you've gotta figure, you've got your building, and depending on how they build a facade, I mean, just like you go through your houses and stuff, you've got a lot of people who are remodeling their houses and adding the big boxy columns that are 8 inches wide, and then you
Yeah.
have the ones that are still 3-inch posts,
Right.
So, does it make it any worse? Is the first design fine, and the new guy was right by making an 8-inch post? Again, it's subjective, it's what it looks like to the building. So to me, I'm not sure why, I mean, unless we really thought it was like horrible and it had lines on it or or something, you
You know,
know?
like a tiny.
Yeah, like, I don't know why we would be deciding that as a group. It's gonna be based on each building.
Yeah, maybe that's why they didn't determine the size. But it seems like we have the right to be like, those look way too small.
But again, that's gonna be real subjective again.
But
I
that's
may
what it
like it,
says.
you guys may hate it. And then we have to put a yes or no for that one.
We're gonna have to vote on it.
I would assume that there's a code somewhere that talks about the minimum and maximum
Oh, I'm sure there's a structural.
structural,
Yeah, it's a structural reason that you'd have it, but,
but
you know,
even for,
yeah, my buddy, he's got one and it was aesthetics only, and he had it removed, you know, so it's like.
there's.
All right, I guess we can table that one for now.
We're gonna have to, yeah, we'll cross the bridge when we come to it, I guess.
Yeah, okay,
We haven't seen any buildings with
well,
columns.
hold on to this for now. All right,
Roman, that's how I vote.
all right.
Everything.
Okay,
All
for the next down, all I did was add accent colors only, because just so they knew what the leaf greens, were for. Design elements, I just added the word minimum, and then for side spacing, right of ways, and 2 other sides and rear, I just added that for clarification. Now, the one thing I didn't know about was, I said, should this be 3 different and 2 different design elements? Because right now it just says 3 design elements per 100 feet. Well, a door is a design element. Per the list, a door is a design element. So are you wanting design elements on this long building, which is what it sounds like they want? They don't want a flat wall.
Yeah.
So if they put in 3 doors, that's 3 design elements and they're done. So
That's
to me,
3 different of 1 design element. Is that 3 design elements?
right. Well,
That's
it's-
what I think that they want doors, windows,
Right.
columns.
And a portico.
Right. So to me, 3 design elements, they can 4 feet, so.
It'd be like a window that comes out, this, like up and the roof breaks the roof line a window.
So, again, if we change it, it's gonna have to be a document change. So,
So
but
it's
again,
different, right? So
but
3 different design elements. for
right,
every
that's the only thing I think
Yeah.
it needs
So
to
it has to
be.
be different, it has to be a door, a window, and
But
a
it doesn't
chimney.
say, does it say different here?
Yeah, it says different.
Oh, they added it?
Different.
Oh, okay, they must
Design
have.
elements for
Okay.
every 40 feet.
Then I get that, leave that
Roman columns right
on.
here.
Okay, perfect, all right. Okay, then I'm gonna add 3 different on this then,
Okay, cool.
and 2 different for the other side, okay. Roofing, all I did was adding some additional clarification, standing seam, or stimulated slate, board approval for flat roofs was added. Drive-throughs, I added this clarification, commercial only, not for mixed use. And then I said no drive-throughs, ordering area, signage at frontage or between building and right of way. Any concerns or issues with that? All right.
As far as I got.
Okay, the next one down, I just added the ground coverage because it was kind of on the landscaping, which it's not about landscaping. It's impervious surfaces, so I added that word just so we understand that that's like buildings and asphalt and all that type of stuff. The open space, I just put accessible by paved walkway or bike path because that is clarified in there. Now, what I do see, it says the 15% minimum is only shown for R4 and R10. This should be removed from this part of the checklist. So that really needs to come off of this checklist. And just because it's on the R4 and R10, that doesn't apply to the commercial stuff.
Oh, okay.
Which one does it?
The second line that says minimum 15% of total tracks, I'll delete that from here, because that's just for R10, and it's on their checklist.
Gotcha.
Let me delete that then. Landscape table, it talked about street trees 30 feet apart. My question is, why is this here? Because it's already on the landscape checklist. So I'd like to delete that column from here, or row, or.
Is it in the code the way, because you remember, this flows with the code. So the code, landscaping is, it doesn't say see landscaping code, it has specific things here. So that's why
on
it's.
there.
unless
Here.
there's street trees.
Here's all the landscaping, and and then we have a whole other landscaping section.
This is 1505C4D, so is that not landscaping?
No,
Well, B is vehicular overhang, A is landscaping.
C4D is the street trees, but that's what I'm saying, it's just here, but it's already on the landscape page, and it is in landscaping right here.
But again, this was just following the code in specific, so that's why it's here.
yeah.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, where is it on there though? Because this, here, on your landscaping, we don't go to article whatever for landscaping.
In some areas we do, because it references Article 26. This particular one does not.
I-
In 15,
I
it's
did not-
landscaping, and D is street trees.
I did not see 26 referenced anywhere in 15 and 19.
Okay.
I didn't, I may have missed it, but I didn't see it. And so the only landscaping we have is as it goes through and we get to 1505C4D, and that's where it lists it, and it's in here, and the only, I don't know why it's in there, because it's on the landscaping checklist.
But the landscaping checklist is referenced in those other areas, whereas this, the one that the checklist we're going through right now, it's right here in this code, so we're following this code.
Correct, but what I'm saying is this landscaping page is from 1505 and 1905. It's not from
What references
26.
that?
Yes, there is a special landscaping just for 1505 and 1905. We don't go to 26 for any reason. All of our landscaping is already here.
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't, so as we're saying, a checklist was created
Yes.
for just landscaping.
Right.
For whatever reason, it was there. I didn't do it, it was just there.
Right.
So to me, I don't think we need to have the landscaping there when it's under landscaping.
You're saying it's there twice, and
It's
you should
there
take out
twice.
this whole section, because
Yes.
we already do it.
Exactly, it's
Further
under
up
landscaping.
in the check.
Okay, so when I'm doing a review, a plan review, I go through the code basically page by page
Yeah,
of the code and
Correct.
see, is that stuff in the plans? So the checklist that I use for that is this,
and it goes in order.
and it goes in order, and so.
Yeah, she's saying to take it out later in the checklist, because we already actually.
Yeah, if you wanna take out this page that's landscaping, if we don't need it, then let's
No,
throw it
no,
out.
it's needed because all your landscaping stuff is there. That's what I'm saying, when you go in order. Let me go back, sorry. If you look here, you go C3 to C5. If all the landscaping was in here, you would have 1505 C4 and then all this information for C4. For some reason, again, before my time, a separate landscape checklist was created, so they've taken section 4D or 4 and put it on it, and put it in a completely different checklist for whatever reason.
Then I would just say leave the landscape line item here and say see landscape checklist.
Yeah, that would be good. Because if the developer is looking through this and trying to go to the checklist, we like it in order, so yeah, that would probably be good.
But he's got to
Then he
go
can go
to the
to-
checklist for everything before then.
Yeah, 15-foot buffer between uses, where's that shown in that section? I see the max, I see the.
Yeah, all this is landscaping.
Yeah,
All this is landscaping. You are in order, except you took that order and put it on another sheet.
Okay,
yeah,
then
so are you gonna move it back here?
I just want to delete it from here, and when you get to this page, you will see that they talk about street trees. Unless there's something I'm missing. Is there some place for saying street trees? Is that what I'm trying to say?
It's in section,
Let me go.
Yeah, it's D is street trees, but I see what you're saying, so I would just say at this point, for land where you have landscape highlighted, you can take out the other stuff and just say see landscape checklist.
Okay.
basically more for the developers to understand, if they're going through this page by page, and then they get to this whole section, there's no
Right.
checklist.
See,
They're gonna be
landscape
like, oh, I have to
checklist.
go back to that check, yeah.
That makes sense.
And I think we were just trying to put it in order, but I think we got there and said, oh, there's more here, so.
Yeah,
we
because this
created
item right
section.
here, this item right here,
Right where?
just right here, is the only thing that made it on here.
Okay, yeah.
And
Does that make sense? So I'm just.
So remember, there were changes too, so
Yeah.
they may have pulled all this stuff in, and when we were doing the first rounds, we needed to reference the landscape code. 'Cause
I remember going,
Yeah,
yeah, we
I had to
had
pull
it.
it up online to look through it, so I
Yeah.
had to print it for us.
Right.
So
We've
somewhere along the way,
They
it
pulled
was
it in.
referencing
No,
Yeah.
landscape code 26 and.
All right, so we're just gonna say, see landscape checklist.
Yes.
Can you tell me where the 15-foot buffer between uses is?
Where are you looking at?
It's in section E of that, of landscaping.
Oh, I probably took
Between
it out,
uses.
because it's not on mine
It
anymore.
says E screen between uses a 15-foot buffer.
What section is that?
It's the landscape, the part 4.
E.
So does it need to be in this landscape table?
No, it's gonna be captured over in screen. Yeah, so like I said, it's not on mine, so it may have gotten deleted. Access and connectivity, yeah. OS 23, state route. Okay, all I did was add direct access and add the word public road access to OS 3637, ODOT approval. Let me just put needed. And then allow, I added the word intersection between intersections for access roads. Any comments there? Okay, next is pavement. The only question I have on this is roads has a 20-year design life, parking is 8 inches aggregate, 8 inches from aggregate and 2 inches of pavement. That's like residential, and we're dealing with BCO. Now, if there's R4 and R10, that would be okay, but when you got trucks coming in and out, you might have 12 inches of stone and 5 or 6 inches of asphalt when you're in a truck dock. So I don't know why we're doing truck or parking design in ours, because each one would be different. If they've got an actual loading dock in the back, they're gonna need to have a lot more stone and a lot more asphalt than 2 inches and 8 inches. That's great for residential, so, but that's in the code book, or the zoning book.
As a minimum depth, so they can go over that if they need to.
Well, I know in one of the meetings I was at, they wanted to come in and do something totally different, and I can't remember what the product was, but I don't want it to be where we're saying that that's okay.
That's where they go to zoning commission and they ask for.
Right, but we're gonna have to say yes or no on there.
Yep, so we say no if they don't meet this requirement. If they exceed it, fine, but if they're less than this, if it's 6 and 2, then we say no, you don't meet it.
Right, but if it's a commercial building, I don't think that that's good enough.
That's your opinion.
Well, it's not my opinion, it's
But this,
ODOT's opinion.
we are following the code. Does it meet the
Okay.
code? I mean, I don't disagree with you, but that's, they're the ones that are gonna have to maintain it and keep it up to snuff, but that's, if you wanna ask zoning commission to change this.
Well, that was the comment,
But-
but that's why it's included, and that's a question to go back to Philip and go, hey, has anybody thought about that? Has anybody got to talk to an engineer, a pavement person?
But I
Because,
think as a resident of Berlin Township, you have the right to go to the zoning commission meetings when they're rewriting this code. Not as a representative of ARB, and then to assist with the writing of the code, because you have knowledge that they need.
okay.
I mean, that's.
To me, it seemed like an error, and it needed to be corrected, that's all. All right, so parking, I just added BA areas.
I would agree with Kim on that. I believe that that's something that needs to be explored, because residential versus commercial, the pavement buildups are totally different. Absolutely.
I disagree with you.
But I don't know why it's in here like
I
that, because I used to do ODOT standards all the time. That's
Right.
my background.
But-
So that's how I know that they're totally different. So why would they put this particular pavement buildup in?
Well, it
to
says they
encompass
used,
everything?
Delaware County Location and Design Manual. Where do we see that?
So,
Correct,
yeah,
and that
I
could
don't
be
know
just
if
for
Delaware County has a
residential.
location and design manual. I know ODOT has a location. and
Yeah,
design
ODOT, and that's what I did, I
And
just
that's
confirmed
what
with
I
ODOT, I
used
went
to
back in the
maintain.
ODOT thing. I guess my question to you is,
I'll mention.
there's things we see, to me, I think they need to be corrected, this isn't a personal opinion, it's, commercial should not have 8 and 2, it's just the way it is. So the question is, we're talking about, hey, can we need to talk to legal about some of this stuff? Is that one of the ones we come up and go, hey, just raising concern on this, you haven't built anything yet, your apartments fit that criteria, 8 inches and 2 inches works for the only thing that's going in so far. But once you start going warehouse stuff, that's not gonna apply, and they're gonna sit there and go, I'm fine with that, right? So, I just think it ought to be brought to somebody's attention that that's been put as a general for something that's not
Yeah, I mean,
acceptable.
I think we need to remember that these are guidelines for the applicant. If they want to go if they want to go 8, I mean, I don't know anything about this pavement depth, right? But if they want to go 8 and 2, that's the risk they want to take at a commercial site, right? It's not really up to us to determine that.
Well, we're telling them what color they can use, so I would think we would not want
As
the
a
lots
recommend-
all torn up.
As a recommendation, yeah.
And the fire department can't be driving their trucks over some of this stuff either. I mean, they've gotta have certain things,
Well, that's part of fire review.
right? All right,
The
I'll leave it on.
size of the vehicle affects how long the pavement lasts.
Right.
And that's why when you have tours, it's for the state. They place them all on the state route. And if they have to put them on local roads, then the locals have the right to request them to fix the road that was caused by all of that extra heavy traffic. So I mean, that's why, putting in there, or at least exploring if this is correct, might save the township some money later on in the future.
Well, Ford Street's falling apart due to 53-foot tractor trailers. It wasn't designed for that. It's a residential road. Right?
So again, all of these changes would be part of the process of getting it updated and then presenting it to the trustees at some point
Okay,
for them to approve any of the changes.
and that's my question, I need to document this, that, hey, we need to bring this to somebody's attention. I don't wanna sit there and just delete it and go, hey, so to me, if there's a change, if it's something that we don't really think it's a big deal, if you wanna leave it in there, it's not a big deal, but to me, this is something that should be changed, just like maybe one of the other things I brought up, hey, you have this section, you need to delete this reference, somebody be looking for it. So it needs to be changed. So to me, this is something that needs to be changed. Anita agrees, she's got the background like I have the background, and I don't think, yes, he can put in something more, but what if he puts in this, and it's in this commercial, and you want to say, well, he's got to deal with it. Well, no, other people have to deal with it because parking lot blows up.
I think the general question is, if we have recommendations based on the code and what we see, so it would be natural that we get developers in here, we go through it, and like some of these things just are, like they don't pass the smell test. As a committee or board, can we make recommendations, or can we just, hey, we were going through the code, we're going through it like fine tooth comb, we noticed this, the board, the people of the board just we're saying that we don't think this is the appropriate amount, it should be closer to whatever they recommend. Do we have the ability, what's stopping us?
I guess if I would make a recommendation, if you have items that you think need corrected in the zoning code, that should be listed, should be a separate list from what you're trying to change on your checklist.
Yeah.
Your checklist right now needs to follow the zoning code.
Right.
If there's something like depth of concrete, then that should be a separate list you start, and Philip can take that to the BZC for consideration. But your checklist,
Yeah, that should be fine.
that needs to follow the current zoning.
Right.
No, and that's what we agree with. We're just saying this needs to be brought to somebody's attention, and when you're revising the code, it needs to be looked at. So I have a whole other list going now. I've got add to attorney review, or whatever you guys want to call it. I'm trying to add that note in here.
And again, like it's up to them if they do anything with it or not, right?
Right. I can
I mean, it's great that we have the expertise on this board specifically to read it and catch it, but then it's up to them if they
But
want to
there's
enforce it.
documentation, there's all kinds of standards.
Oh,
That's all I did. So
Do you agree, Phil?
it's
Is that how?
something that you could,
I mean, you brought us,
Can be
you have our
investigated.
expertise for a reason, so to me, you should at least listen to it, take it to the people that are able to agree or disagree with it, and
Okay.
then if they say no, that's up
I
to
mean, all
them.
we can do is give them a list and be
Right.
like, here we found, they
Right.
can be like, okay, cool, we already knew this, or this is great, I didn't realize this. I mean, our trustees and zoning aren't always engineers, which we have 3 of on this board. Me, I was a history major, so if we can talk about historical stuff, I will take it to them.
but for myself, I would say investigate it. And then when I talk about investigating, location and design manual, pavements, all of that stuff is public record. You can go on ODOT's website. You can, like, I go on there and find a section that talks about this. And then that's something that we can add to our report that would be given to the, you know, to
And
the
unfortunately,
zoning
I
board.
built a
And then
road,
they would have to take it from there.
I built a road in the parking lot, they did not do it per design, and it fell apart within the first year, so they were coming back, ripping it out and putting a new one in. So
So
it's just something.
So again, if you have those recommendations,
I have, I
make that separate list for them.
Okay, let's.
So do
keep
these
going on.
applications go to the Delaware County engineer prior to us getting them, or is it Delaware County zoning? It goes somewhere before it comes
It
to
goes
us.
to Delaware County Regional Planning.
Regional planning, okay. Because there's a comment in here about upon recommendations from Delaware County engineers. I'm not sure if they look at it as part of that regional planning review. So if the Delaware County says, hey, because of what you're doing here, they have the ability to tell them you need more.
Yeah, and it even goes further on that underneath too. Greater distance may be required, so there's, you know, that they are stepping in too.
Okay, well, let's keep moving on. Parking lot, I just added, parking, I just added BDA areas and, design, and also added design using parking bay concept. So again, that's all I added there. The next line item, I just added VUA islands, and then again, why is the shade tree noted here, should be in the landscape checklist,
Yeah,
where it's
just
already noted, so I'm just gonna delete that here. Because it'll tell them that the parking lot item needs it, so I'm gonna leave it here. Let's see, screening, I've got parking BUA screening, I just said all UA to be screened, C15, C4I for materials. So that gets them over the landscape checklist.
Yeah.
Parking spaces, base size, nothing was changed there. Under peak parking, I just put all uses and board of trustee approval. On the loading spaces,
Oh,
I
sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Trustee.
I need to leave shortly.
Sure.
If I could just interrupt you,
Sure, go ahead.
you had some questions about training.
Yeah, I guess,
Yeah,
I
let's-
should put my son down as well, so if we can go,
Yeah, we
we
can-
can checklist it next time and
Yeah,
then
that's
go over the.
So we'll table this for now. I'll put that we stopped on parking. But I do have copies of training. I know I would like some additional training. Anita, you know, she mentioned, you know, she's new, she doesn't understand the process, procedures and stuff. Just like using a checklist. It's like, okay, you started, here's a checklist. Like, okay, what do I do with it? So I think training's important. I don't think we should just be throwing notes and saying, good luck, because I want to do it the proper way. So I guess my question is, what do you feel you need training on? You don't have to answer that today. I guess what training options are available.
So if it's, you know, legal questions, we can bring in, an attorney that can talk with you and answer some questions.
Do you think it would be helpful if we met with the zoning committee? Because we're like almost a subcommittee of the zoning committee.
I'm not sure you can.
Oh, okay, we're not supposed to grant knives.
Well, I do have a question. So there are conversations that are had that affect us, and we don't know. So I don't know how we find out things. So it's just like, you know, if hey, we're changing this, you know, do we get an email after you have a meeting? You had a meeting yesterday, and I understand that there was conversation about ARB came up. How much detail I don't know, but like who has that conversation to make sure at least it comes to me so I can pass it on to them, or somebody sends out an email. I just think the communication side is missing, and I just want to make sure that we're not surprised by things, that we're in the loop. Hey, we're changing this. Is there any reason we're not getting an email to say, hey, just let you know, this is our status on changing 15 and 19, or is this?
So all email, or all communication.
You will, okay, thanks.
Should come from Philip.
That would be great.
Philip, from the zoning department.
Okay, that would be
Whether it's
awesome.
Philip or Cindy or another representative from the zoning department. And they can direct all of the communications, meeting times, so that you're not having to do that.
That would be great.
We won't be changing any parts of your code without,
I'm sorry, what?
we won't be changing any parts of your code without discussing this with you.
And question?
As far as communications with BZC, there should not be communication with BZC.
No, we just want to be updated as to what would affect us or if anything going on.
If you have questions about meeting times, that's something that would come from the zoning department.
I had a question. Let's look and see what's on here.
But we can go to zoning commission meetings because we're residents of the township.
Yes, you can attend any township meeting, yes, but you would be attending as
A resident.
a resident.
Yeah.
Real quick, is there any update on getting us a secretary to take meeting minutes? But like today, I hope my phone recorded it because, or I can get online and look because there's no way I would be able to track all this stuff. So.
There's discussion on that.
Okay. And then, as far as the ARB, as far as signage, we don't have a checklist for signage. Is there a reason it was, I mean, I can create one, but is there a reason we didn't put one together?
I don't think it was in our. We just do this so rarely, I cannot remember.
Yeah, signs, see Article 25, I mean,
Yeah,
I think
right.
that was what the code says, so then that's why I asked for
Well,
signs
do
and
we want to
landscape.
create a
I
checklist?
think why we didn't is because, there's such different things in different buildings. We just referenced the code for what type of building or request it is. And I think because they're so different from commercial to whatever else, I think it was like too much to create a checklist for. We just went to here's model home signs, here's the drive-through, here's, right? Or it could have been, we just didn't get there either. We didn't, I can't remember if we've even been presented a sign. I think one of them had a sign, an outdoor sign. That's why you asked for it.
Yeah.
If you want to, go ahead. I mean,
Okay,
I just
okay.
remember,
I'll look at
so it was like
it.
a,
It's got, I had like 20 hours to do that.
thank you.
Look at that creating. Okay, one more question, let's see.
Are we gonna talk about the contractors?
Yes, yes. Yeah, we can go to the next item. The last I heard is on the 1099, the subject of us being 1099 employees. I sent an email over to Lisa, and she got back with me and said that HR will be contacting, reaching out to get us a 1099. My question is, since we're 1099 employees, we need a contract. I've gotten an email that basically says what our salary will be for me. That's it. I've got no 1099, and we've had 2 meetings now, as far as an invoice, I asked about sending an invoice, and they said, well, just send us an email. Well, am I supposed to send an email for all 4 of us saying, here's who attended? Or do I say, here's our roll call, here's who attended? Like, there's nothing formal in place, so I need to get answers to this. And like I said, to me, I feel I need a contract of some sort, just to say, this is your position, this is your pay, this is this, because nothing's in writing right now, and I'm a 1099 employee, which means I'm self-employed, which means I've got to pay taxes and all this stuff myself, and yet I have no.
I'll follow up.
They said she was going to reach out, but I haven't heard from her yet, and I was going to have that conversation when she called me, but I haven't heard back from her yet.
I'll follow up with our fiscal officer and HR
Okay.
director.
Well, this is our 3rd meeting.
But it started January 1, so really.
Yeah, so this is our 2nd meeting under the new scale rate. We have nothing in writing or 1099, so.
I have a question for you. We had a resignation on the board, is there, the job gonna be posted again, to fill that position that was vacated? Soon?
The vacated position that, is it on, do you know if it's on the website? It will be on,
I believe it's
on our website with it.
I think we received an application.
You received the application?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, we have 2 positions, because Kristen will be leaving, and then Jennifer left, so we'll have 2.
Yes. So yeah,
Okay.
we'll be back.
Okay.
You're the candidate, right?
Thank you.
Kristen, thank you for your time on board.
Well, like I said, I didn't plan to leave yet, but I was trying to do the right thing for the township with having so many resignations this year to keep re-advertising and redoing stuff. That it will be happening soon, but I'm willing to stay on as long as needed for at least 2 months.
Okay. So 2 more months yet?
Yeah,
Through June.
if needed.
So I guess for the next checklist, we can make it simpler, we can have a meeting, go through it, and go down each one. We have 4 more to do, plus this one. You guys are welcome to look at it and just come back and go, Kim, redline it, do something and say, and then I can combine all that and go, okay, here's the only ones we need to talk about. Everybody's agreed except for this one.
My opinion is anything that you add in here for clarification
It's good.
is good.
Okay.
If there's something that, the notes, I think that stuff we through.
Okay.
That's just me.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, we were doing this.
We were overly detailed, so if you see something that needs further clarification, just send it over, and, because it does take a while, so if you guys are okay with it and nothing jumps out at you, because most stuff's clarification, but there are questions on the right-hand side, so if you at least look at those, then we can have those. What do you think, a meeting next month to finish that up?
Yeah, we'll just keep our meeting, it's just
Okay.
the 3rd
Okay.
Wednesday. Okay.
All right.
Motion to adjourn?
Between 10 and
Motion, yes. Second?
We did the work today.
I'm gonna take off, but thank you again
Thank
for
you,
your
Lisa.
service on the board.
It's so fun.
Take your time with the stuff here.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you say I'm overly detailed when you're like super detailed?
No, it's like me, no, it's like me, that's why, you show me something I don't have, that's why I said it.
You
That was
want
a
me to
compliment.
check it and know?
You were, no, that was a compliment.
Oh, okay.
You were overly